back to the sports breakdown once again. So today we are going to discuss about the WTC finals today, guys. So as we know, tomorrow it's going to start India versus Australia World Test Championship Finals 2023. It's going to happen at the Oval in London. So we've got two guests actually from Australia joining us. We've got Tanish all the way from Australia, who conducts himself a podcast and also works with Cricket Australia now as well, having internship. Plus we have Neel joining us all the way from Australia, Sydney. I think you guys must have watched a video with us 3 months back. We did a memory of like India versus Australia 2004 series. So I uploaded that on YouTube, but this is the first time that both of them are coming live. So how are you doing, folks? Both of you, are you guys excited for the WTC finals tomorrow?
Yeah,
It should be fun.
Yes. All right. So let's begin with the topics, guys. So anyone who's viewing right now, guys, do ask us questions. So then both Tanish and Neel can answer those questions as well. So let's begin. So this is part one of the WTC finals, which is the Australia squad analysis, and then tonight we'll be doing the Indian squad analysis as well at around 10 p.m. All right. So let's start, guys. So today we got the news. Let's come to the news. That Scott Boland is confirmed to play the WTC finals by Pat Cummins and the Australian head coach ahead of Michael Neser. So coming to you, Tanish, first of all, your thoughts over this, because Scott Boland hasn't played before in England conditions before, and we've seen Michael Neser doing really well in county cricket and knows the England conditions as well. So your thoughts towards this decision of playing Scott Boland ahead of Michael Neser?
Look, most people wouldn't agree with me with this one, but
Hello.
I think Scott Boland deserves a pretty good chance, fairly good chance over Michael Neser in the squad. Although Michael Neser is in solid form right now, and after the county stint, it's just that it's I I I think Boland's actually been very much more promising in Australia over the last year and a half, ever since his Ashes debut, and I think he can like make the make the game a much more much more different approach. Much more different approach. Not to say that Michael Nisa can't do that, but it's just that I like he. It's just that Boland's just got a much more different like. Although yeah, Nisa can bat. It's just that we if we need an extra we need Boland. Well, Australia need Boland just like because like he can break through the partnership, Indian partnership. And it's like, and looking at the pitch, it's his sort of pitch because like it's a bowling wicket and he can easily like break through. So I'm picking Boland because he can break through partnerships. Um, and although he can't bat, he's the perfect bowler, perfect candidate for the final.
yeah. My thoughts are Nisa.
All right. Yes. Also coming to Neel.
Oh God, no. Yo,
Bro froze.
oh God, no. Did his line cut?
Yup. Yeah, indeed.
Oh shit.
Thank God I actually fucked up in what I said.
Bro, you're still alive.
Oh no. Shit.
No,
Ah, frack.
we'll just carry over while he's there. Yeah. So, ladies, yeah. Unfortunately, we lost. He will be back. Anyways, but we just hope Boven.
So
Yeah.
Neil, tell us about like tell us about Hoff's injury. Does he have a good chance of like, like ever playing in the next series in the future with
Man, big question mark. I mean, Boland's done really well whenever he chips in, like whenever Hazelwood's been injured. And Hazelwood's had some injury problems over the last year and a half or something. So, and Boland's done like a really good job coming in and just taking wickets and playing the third seamer role for Australia. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think Hazelwood's guaranteed a place back in the team.
No,
Like,
I agree with you. I mean, yeah, like Hazelwood's done a lot for Australia, but also his body's broken.
exactly. And
I don't think it lasts like 11 overs.
yeah, and Boland's actually, to be honest, he seems pretty fit for like a guy in his early 30s. He doesn't
I
seem
think
to
he'd
break down.
last for 10 years. Bring him back 10 years.
Who?
I think he'd last 10 years.
Wow. That's good, man.
I said I think he'd last 10 years.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. But he's a gun. Yeah, seriously, the way he's going. Plus he doesn't seem to play T20s, so
Yeah,
sorry, Boland, we lost.
sorry guys. Can you now hear us? Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hello. Where do we get stuck? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, all right. I think you guys can hear me. All right. So coming to Neel once again. Neel, your thoughts about Josh Hazelwood being out of the WTC finals? We know that he's been out due to an Achilles injury. So do you think this is a huge blow to Australia?
Look, he's a quality bowler. We were talking with Tanish, but I was talking with Tanish while you were away about it. Just going to elaborate. Like he's a quality bowler. Most teams would want Josh Hazelwood in their team, but Scott Boland's done a more than a decent enough job replacing him, and Australia seem to have done well without him. And I think it's gone to an extent that now Hazelwood might not be a certainty in the Test team in certain cases because Boland's done so well, especially in that England series in 2021. He bowled superbly there. And even if he's not picking up wickets, he keeps.
I agree with you. So this is the likely Australian playing 11 that they put. Yeah. Continue.
That's all right. Yeah. So even even if he's not picking up wickets, he's keeping things tight, and that's what you want from your third bowler. It makes it easy for the captain to rotate the other bowlers as well if they need the other fast bowlers or come up with a certain plan. So he's a very useful bowler for Australia, Scotty Boland, and plenty of experience in the domestic scene. He's done well for Victoria. I think Nishi's kind of supporting him because he's a Victorian, but he's.
Of course, I'm supporting India, but I'm also supporting certain players, like Steve Smith and Boland, because of course Boland's Victorian and I'm Victorian. So
There you go. See, Victorians.
Oh, mate.
Oh, yeah. Victorians, I tell you.
All right, let's continue with another topic here. So, yeah, yes, all right. So coming back, so this will be the likely Australia playing 11 tomorrow. So we have David Warner, Usman Khawaja, Manas Labuschagne, Steve Smith, Travis Head, Cameron Green, Alex Carey obviously going to be the keeper, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark, Nathan Lyon, and Scott Boland. All right, let's come to players to watch out for Australia right now. So first of all, let's go to Tanish's favorite cricketer, Steve Smith, because we know how good of a Test cricketer Steve Smith is and how good of a record he has in England. When we speak about Steve Smith in English conditions, he has played in 16 matches. He scored 1,727 runs at an average of 59.52. And has a high score of 215 with 300s and 150. We know how good he was in the Ashes 2019, I think. Yes, I think in England, yes. So, and that was a 2-all draw series, I think, between England versus Australia, and he did well over there. But coming to Tanish, how big of a factor will Steve Smith be? Because he's played now county cricket. He played for Sussex recently. I think he was in the same team with Pujara and he was scoring runs over there as well. So your thoughts, Tanish, towards Steve Smith?
Yeah, I think Steve Smith's going to be a very big is going to have a very big impact in this final. Dangerous batsman. He's already set after that last county match, making 89 runs. And after a brilliant summer with 2 centuries to his name and a double century, I think, and the form he's in, I think he's going to be a very dangerous batsman to get out. He's going to be a very good, very important, impactful player in the team. The only thing I'm concerned about Smith is the fact that he's gotten out LBW 3 times in the same way, uh, and that's kind of benefited some of the English bowlers who are for the Ashes as well. So, and some of the Indian bowlers who probably would have watched the county. I think if he found a way to like position himself to in his stance to avoid getting LBW, he'd be even more unstoppable. And I'm saying, not that I'm saying he's not good, he's very good, and he's extremely dangerous. So just few runs here and there, and he's set, and it'll be hard for the bowlers to get him out, especially with his record at the Oval and his average.
Yes. Yep, I agree with you. So, who do you think is a likely Indian bowler that can dismiss Smith? Like, I mean, it's not going to be easy, obviously, to dismiss Smith, but amongst like the Indian bowlers, you have Shami, Siraj, perhaps Umesh Yadav or Shardul Thakur. I don't know who they're going to play tomorrow, but who do you think is the most likely, perhaps, who could trouble Steve Smith tomorrow, according to you?
Look, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Ravindra Jadeja. He's uh he's done him a lot of in that Border Gavaskar Trophy series, and I think he's gonna do it again in looking at this pitch for tomorrow. I think he's gonna do it again. Just bowl at
Yeah.
specific delivery that gets Smith in trouble. Um, I think I
Yeah.
think that's one bowler Steve Smith should look out for. I mean, he should look out for every bowler, but it's Jadeja that's been his biggest weakness of the last few months. So yeah.
Definitely, I agree with you. Yes. All right. So let's come to Neel and let's talk about Pat Cummins, the captain, who's done really well recently. Obviously, he's picked up 53 wickets in this WTC cycle, 2021 to 2023. During the 2 years, he's been phenomenal as a captain. He's been phenomenal as a bowler. He's really covered up when needed, especially when Josh Hazlewood has been absent or Stark has been absent. I mean, Cummins has stepped up. So, Neel, your thoughts about Pat Cummins in this cycle, and how crucial is Cummins going to be for Australia in this cycle, especially in the opening overs, and especially he's especially bowling with that new Duke ball. How do you think Pat Cummins is going to come about?
Yeah, what can you say about Pat Cummins? He's a class act. He was excellent last time in England, when he played in England in the Ashes over there. I think he was Australia's leading wicket taker in the 2019 Ashes. So he seemed to do well in these conditions. Also, he adjusts his game to most conditions around the world as well, and that's what he's shown over the World Test Championship cycle. He showed it in Pakistan on those dead pitches. Yeah, I can go on all day about how good he is, but yeah, the stats what you've mentioned, they prove it. They prove how good he is. He'll be vital. If he can get like an early one or two, like 2 quick wickets, it could expose the Indian middle order a bit early. Not saying like Pujara can't, guys like Pujara and Kohli aren't class. They can handle the pressure, but most batsmen in the world, you don't want, like middle order batsmen, you don't want to come in too early. That could expose the Indian order a little bit early, make them a bit vulnerable. Also, he's got a bit of a habit of breaking partnerships. So, like, let's say India doing well and they're building a good partnership. Cummins seems to find a way to just break a partnership. I've seen that over the Australian summer this year. He just seems to find a way to get that vital wicket or bowl a good spell, which puts pressure on the batsman, and then someone else might take the wicket. So his value to the team's immense. And also, just to add to the stats, he's the number one bowler in the world. He's been the number one bowler for a while, and rightly so. He's such a vital player to the team.
Agree. Tanish, any thoughts to add about Pat Cummins and how he's going to be effective, especially with the new ball and especially troubling batters like Pujara, Kohli, Rahane even perhaps? How do you think that will come along?
I think Neil actually summed it up very perfectly. But yeah, I think as captain of the Australian team and captain of the bowling attack, I think he's going to be extremely important in both senses. So yeah, I think Neil summed up very perfectly in what he said before. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's discuss about Usman Khawaja because he may not have some good stats in England, but he's been really good throughout this WTC cycle. He's both performed in Asia, he's performed away, and that's why we included him like in the top 5 list, like to watch out for, like players to watch out for. He's played 16 matches in this WTC cycle and has scored 1,608 runs, the second highest run scorer and the highest run scorer for Australia in this WTC cycle, and has an average of 69 with 6 centuries and 750. So let's come to Tanish about Usman. I know Usman doesn't have a good average in England. I think he's only played 5 test matches and has an average of like 19 or 20. But I think this is the time perhaps for him to prove, especially with the WTC final and the Ashes to come. So your thoughts towards Usman Khawaja and how crucial, along with Warner, like they need to give a good start, and especially if Australia get a good start, they could perhaps score around at least 400 450 in the first innings. I hope that they can do that. But your thoughts about Khawaja?
Yeah, look, if we look at Kawaja before his return to the test side compared to now, I think Usman Khawaja now would be a lot more dominant. I think he's going to be a lot more dangerous in tomorrow's World Test final, and I think if I think once he gets set as well, he'll be unstoppable. And we've seen it in Pakistan. He scored like 290s and a century in that series. In the Australia series against England, he returned with a couple of hundreds. He also made 197 against South Africa
Yes.
at the SCG. And SCG is like his baby. It's a big thing. He scored hundreds there
Mm.
recently. So I think no, I have no doubt that he will like do the same against India and England, and I think that is expected. Like he's if you look at Kawaja just before the 2021 Ashes, he wasn't sorry the 2021-22 Ashes. He wasn't he he was not even in the side. Like if he was in the side, it would be a lot more different to the situation he is in now. He's a lot more, you could say, immortal when it comes to batting. So
Yeah.
if he and Warner, or if he and Marnus at number 2 and number 3 go off to a really good start with the bat, and
Yes.
he himself like does very well very well in England, I think he's going to be come out as one of the dangerous batsmen for this final. And I think, and I'm hoping to see him get 100. That is one thing for sure.
Agree. Yep. All right. So let's go to the number 4 player to watch out for, in my opinion, and that is Mitchell Starc. Because we know how Starc has been. I know he's been rested in the IPL. People are saying stuff about Starc not having enough match practice. He could not be deadly and all because he didn't play recently. He's had a 2 or 3 month break. But we know who Starc is, and he also has said recently that he's not after money. He's trying to play 100 Test matches for Australia. He's made a statement today saying about that. So let's come to Neel and let's talk about Starc because we know Starc is a really deadly bowler. He can swing the ball really well with that new Duke ball, and he can really trouble India. We saw in that ODI series in India how much he troubled those Indian batters. And the Indian batters like Kohli, Rahane, Pujara, Rohit Sharma will really vary of how Starc delivers in those opening spells. So your thoughts, Neel, about Starc because he's been brilliant. I think he's the second highest wicket taker of Australia in this WTC first, cycle, second or third. He's been really deadly, picking up 51 wickets. He's been fabulous. So your thoughts, Neel, about Starc?
Yeah, Starkey, what can we say? He can bowl up to 150 on his day, gets the ball swinging. His Yorker's really well renowned. Excellent excellent ball on the Yorker. Something about Stark in World Cup years. I don't know what it is with the World Cup years. He just seems to click in World Cup years and just seems to bring the best out of him. Maybe more so in ODIs, but yeah, the World Cup years just bring the best out of him. And this year's the World Cup year as well.
Yeah.
Stark, he if the ball gets a bit old and if there's like conditions they're not so like if it's a bit of like you know, sorry I sound like Joe Biden.
Yes.
You know, like Stark. The thing is, if the ball's like it's a bit of a reverse swing, he's going to be lethal, and he has a good stride to the crease. Bowls with good momentum. That left arm angle, of course, he's that left arm angle bowling over the wicket, around the wicket, is going to create issues. Yeah, and he seems to love the big stage. So yeah, I think he's been much better than what he's been in the past. Seems to struggle at times in tests.
Yeah.
But he's been like yeah. I think he can. I think he can definitely be a lot better. I think we're the best of him in test that often, and maybe in the final he might click.
Yes. All right, then let's go to the last player to watch out for, and that is Manas Labuschagne, one of my favorite cricketers right now going on, especially with his technique. Obviously, we know he came as a concussion substitution back in Ashes 2019, if I'm not mistaken, for Steve Smith. And after that, there is no way back for Labuschagne. He's been a stable player in that playing 11 for Australia. He's been the number one test batter as well in the ICC test rankings. It's just been fabulous to watch, and I think he's in the top 5 run scorers for Australia also in this WTC cycle as well. So your thoughts, Tanish, coming back to you about Labuschagne, because he's been a phenomenal cricket. I think he's average around 50 plus, and he's really been scoring runs, and he's played, I think, county cricket right now. He's playing for Glamorgan, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he's playing in Division 2. So your thoughts about Labuschagne, and especially because now he's in county cricket, he's been playing for a few seasons as well, how vital he'll be, because I mean, Labuschagne and Steve Smith, especially number 3 and 4, obviously they will score the bulk of the runs, and they'll be crucial batters also. So your thoughts about Labuschagne, Tanish?
Yeah, so Manus, as I wrote on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, Manus has been very good in the Australian team over the last year since the Ashes
Yeah.
as well.
Yes.
20 since the home Ashes here.
Yeah.
And he's now the number one and he's the number one batsman because of how good he is, how much he's improved, and how he's improved in the nets. And each day he loves his cricket. But as I said on LinkedIn, Manus's county innings this year, he scored like 170. I think another century before that, and a few fifties in his early matches, and I think that's very much helped him gain enough form and enough momentum to dominate in the World Test final. Um, and I have no doubt that Manus is one of the dangerous batsmen because when he goes, he goes, and there's no way to stop him. Like he did extremely well this series.
Yeah.
He scored back-to-back centuries against the Windies and a double century to go with it. And I think, I think he's been a terrific player for Australia, a savior. And yeah, I think next to Steve Smith, he's gonna be one of the best players in this World Test final.
Yes. All right. So let's come back to Neel, and let's talk about Nathan Lyon, because I know he's the lone spinner. And at the Oval, at times we've seen spinners sort of succeeding at times, even though that's very rare. But we've seen in Surrey, like, spinners been succeeding at the Oval London, and we've seen even English bowlers also succeeding in the county cricket. I mean, English spinners. So how do you think Nathan Lyon will come vital for? Because obviously the overcast conditions could be there in England. We know in the summer, like June, July, how overcast it is in England. We saw that 2 years ago in Southampton, how it rained in the first 3 days, and then the last 3 days only action happened, and then New Zealand won the WTC. So how vital will Nathan Lyon be at the Oval, especially because we don't know what sort of a pitch the curators will put up for tomorrow's game. But especially the overcast conditions, spinners could come into play, especially maybe around day 3 or day 4, especially when the ball gets a bit old. So your thoughts, Neel, about Nathan Lyon, because he's picked up the highest wickets actually in the WTC cycle in these past 2 years. He's been really good in Australia and in subcontinental as well. So your thoughts?
It just seems to be getting better with age. He's going to be huge for the Aussies. His overs, if he's not picking up wickets, if he's keeping things tight at least, helps the captain, Patcummins. He can rotate the bowlers at the other end, give the fast bowlers a bit of time to relax and that. His role in the team's vital. Experienced campaigner, seems to be getting better with age. And like you mentioned, he is a leading wicket taker in this World Test Championship cycle. Also, last time when he came to Australia, England, he bowled pretty well. Did have a few bad moments here and there. That happens to most bowlers, but I thought he was pretty good in England last time in the 2019 Ashes, especially in that first test at Edgbaston. He picked up a fifer in the second innings there, if I remember correctly. Bowled beautifully there. Also, one thing just also with the Oval as well, about the curators. There's a thing I was reading on ESPN Cricket Info today that there's never been a test played in June in the Oval's history in June. The earliest they've started is July. So this is a bit uncharted territory here. So that adds to the fact that what you were mentioning, we don't know what's going to happen on this pitch.
Yeah, we don't know how the pitch will behave. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly. And
just one thing though, I actually saw the pitch on Twitter, like the image of the pitch, and it looks really green. So it's like a bowling deck. So I wouldn't be surprised if either teams win the toss and bowl first, like tomorrow. But it looks like it's going to be in favor of the bowlers, and I think rain's going to play a bit of a part in it. So we'll see what happens. Anything can happen. It's a test match at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the conditions apparently for the forecast for it, Bowen was even talking about it in the group chat, and I looked at the few pages and all that. For most of the game, even the reserve day, the weather looks okay. So if they end up having a reserve day, the weather it looks okay, and there might be like a few showers in between, but the weather
6% chance of rain, then Neel.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is England. But you never know what's going to happen in England.
Very unpredictable weather, yes. Even though they say like all the 5 days there won't be much rain, and I think in the reserve day only, I think there's rain expected. I think more than the first 5 days. So yeah, even I saw the post. Yeah, it looks really green tomorrow. The pitch, as Tanish says. Yeah, hope it stays like that, just like the last WTC cycle as well. But Tanish, coming back to you, Cameron Green, we know that he made a big impact in the IPL this time, especially in 2020 cricket. He made a really huge impact for Mumbai Indians, and the Indian batters will really vary about Cameron Green, especially his bowling in Test cricket has been brilliant. We haven't seen much of his batting ability still in Test, even though I think in the last Test series, I think he did score runs, but we haven't seen that side yet. But especially in Test cricket, we've seen his bowling has come into much effect. But what can we expect from Green? Because Green has completely evolved as a all-rounder, and I mean in Test cricket also he's been performing well. All three formats he's been quite consistent right now and could play a huge part right now, since they don't have Josh Hazelwood as well. I mean, they could use Cameron Green a bit more in this English conditions. So your thoughts on Cam Green?
Yeah, so so I think like Cameron Green hopefully will get back into test mode. He's been in he's playing IPL for like the last 2 months, so hopefully he'll get back into test mode. He scored a century against India, so I think with the form he's got so far, I think he'll be able to make a huge impact with the bat. More importantly, with the ball, because and he'll be useful a lot more now that Hazelwood's out. So it'll be like he'll be like the fourth most important pace bowler in the team. And he'll be able to bowl a lot more overs as well, because like he's a test bowler, not a T20 bowler. He's a test bowler.
Yes.
He's the perfect all rounder Australia has, and no doubt, like it's his first ever stint in England. No doubt the Ashes will be his second, and I think he's got to get used to England conditions, and if once he gets used to the conditions in the first couple of sessions or the first day or second day, I think he'll get a bit more. I think he'll get a bit more knowledge, be more of an expert in that,
Yeah.
and I think I think as he gets better, as he gets much more better in any overcast conditions in England. I think he'll be very good. He'll be very, very good.
All right. Yes. All right. So let's talk about the strengths and weaknesses of this Australian team, because I don't know whether there's much weaknesses for this Australian team right now. But let's talk about the strengths, Neil. Where do you think Australia can capitalize over India, especially in the next 5 days coming up in the WTC finals? Where do you think are the big plus points or the strengths that India perhaps might find it difficult to obviously combat Australia? Your thoughts on that?
If I were to say strengths of Australia, I'd say their pace bowling. Pace bowling department. India will really miss Bumrah, I think, in this game. Bumrah has a good record in England. He has a great record overall in his Test career.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's had injury issues, which is really sad. He's a good bowler to watch, really entertaining, and a genuine match winner on his day. They'll miss him, but I think Australia has the edge over there in the fast bowling department.
Yeah.
Also, if I look at the 1 to 7 at this point in time, with India and Australia, the potential batting lineup. Kohli's just found his form in tests and recently. For 3 or 4 years, it was well documented he didn't score 100. It seems like he's finding that form again. He's just finding it at the right time. Pujara's India's leading run scorer. He averages 30 over this Test championship cycle. They don't have Rishabh Pant, who has a good record against Australia, and he counterattacks Nathan Lyon very well. He just knows how to get under Nathan Lyon's skin, and like how talkative he is behind the stumps. He's a bit of a pest. But yeah, also even Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma found, like, last time he came to England, he did score 100, but there's always that vulnerability of Rohit Sharma, especially even this year. Like, people are a bit 50-50 about his form and his future, how long he's going to last. Gill's finding his feet now. He seems to be having a breakout year. Rahane's just come back in the team off the back of a good domestic season. So, and it's just also Shrikar Bharat. People, the Indian fans, it's well documented, they don't really rate him as a batsman. He's most likely a keeper. So, however, Jadeja's been good for India down the order. He's been resurrecting some innings for India over the World Test Championship cycle. So, Australia's batting, I'd say they have the edge. If you look at the World Test Championship form, both teams, except for maybe Warner. Khawaja's done beautifully. Khawaja's the highest run scorer. Travis Head's another guy that people keep forgetting. He's really found his feet in Test cricket and international cricket. He plays counter-attacking innings all the time. Let's say India get a couple of quick wickets, and then Travis Head all of a sudden plays a quick counter-attacking innings. Then all of a sudden Australia back in the game. Alex Carey's a much better wicketkeeper batsman than I'd say Shrikar Bharat. Cameron Greens seems to be playing tough innings. Smith and Labuschagne we know. So I'd say the bowling, also the batting from 1 to 7 has a bit of an edge over India at the moment as well.
All right. Yes. And let's come to Tanish about the weaknesses. Any weaknesses you see in this Australian Test team that could perhaps make them struggle against India? Do you see anything? I mean,
I see one. Well, the one weakness is like having this David Warner's form in the Australian team, and I believe this is the reason for this is like he. There's a good chance that that Australia will lose an early wicket in both innings, and that most likely will be the wicket of David Warner. Like Siraj knows his weak. Um, they've both won their contest against him in India. And I think there's a good chance they could do the same by looking at videos how Broad got rid of David Warner in the last Ashes, so they could implement that same strategy on David Warner in tomorrow's World Test final. And there are no other weaknesses in there, just a bit of bit of lack of form from David Warner, and that is all in general.
Very true. Yes. Coming to Neel, we know David Warner is gonna announce retirement next year. He said like in 2024 he's gonna set to retire in the Pakistan Test series. So I think Warner also knows like his time is gonna be up in Test cricket really soon, and I think he just wants to play this WTC final perhaps, and then one more Test series against Pakistan. Your thoughts about Warner, because I know he's he has worked really hard throughout his career. He's had a lot of controversies. But he's really evolved as a test batter. Throughout. That 335 against Pakistan, he's a knock to not. Cannot forget that knock, especially the way that he played, especially that knock in Australia. So, your thoughts about Warner? And I know Tanish just pointed about Warner could struggle in those two innings against Siraj, Shami, the way that they swing the ball. But your thoughts about Warner though throughout his career, and what he can do to improve. Especially in a situation where Australia are about to become WTC finals. They are one step closer to that title. All they have to do is to beat India. So, your thoughts, Neel?
Yeah, Warner. There's been a lot of publicity about Warner over here in Australia. Tanish would know. Fox Cricket everywhere. A lot of the fans don't seem to believe his time's up. Look, I hope he can prove the critics wrong, and it'd be good. But yeah, his form's very concerning. Honestly, I'm not sure how he's going to go. But yeah, career-wise, well, he's been a good contributor to the Australian team in the test format. One thing to note about Warner in this, maybe the last 10 years or so, if you look at the openers around the world, not many openers have had a lot of success, like average as high as Warner over the cricketing world.
Yes.
Sri Lanka's got Dimuth Karunaratne, who I rate really highly. He's really done well for the team. New Zealand's got Tom Latham, who averages in the low 40s. Dean Elgar's average has dropped. So opening the batting seems to be a bit of around the world, not many teams have had good openers, like solid openers in the last 10 years that have done as well as Warner. So I think he's he's gone under the radar a bit. People kind of underappreciate him. Because opening the batting is not an easy job. And if you look by the last 10 years, not many batsmen average as well as Warner. One batsman, I think, as an opener, one batsman, I think, who does average as high as Warner, he retired a couple of years ago, was Alistair Cook.
Yeah.
And that's it. So, and one innings I remember from David Warner was on his debut, on his second match in Hobart, New Zealand, Australia. Scored an excellent 100, nearly got the team over the line in that classic match. Just know him as a fighter, a bit of a fighter, excellent fielder. Seems to pump up the team as well. But yeah, his form at the moment is concerned. We can't lie. I hope he fires, but yeah, I don't know if I see it. If he's gonna fire. And I was surprised, to be honest, that they selected him. I thought they weren't going to select him for the World Test Championship final.
So if Warner
to be honest,
Warner wasn't selected, who's that option that you would have brought as a opening batter? Neel, like Marcus Harris or some other batter?
No, Harris has got enough chances, I think, to be honest. I don't know if Tanish agrees, but I think he's had enough chances. But maybe Renshaw, but he didn't do too well in India. I would have said Renshaw and maybe Bancroft. Bancroft seems to have clicked over the last 1 or 2 years now. He's finally clicked. Would have had either of those two, maybe.
But any news will Pukwowski, because I know he had a concussion recently, like last year, but has he performed like in domestic cricket in Australia recently? Like
he hasn't played domestic cricket in like this season. He's just stuck to Melbourne Cricket Club. And he's done really well in Melbourne Cricket Club, but I don't think he'll play like for Australia again with those concussions. Maybe for Victoria, maybe just stick to Melbourne Cricket Club. But he's not going to play for Australia, and if he may not play for Victoria again, the way things are going for him with the 11, 12 concussions. But
yeah,
I think that's all. That's Petkovsky's journey. And if anyone were to replace Warner, it's if he was dropped for this final, it'd be Marcus Harris because he's in the squad and he's actually done really well in England so far in the county with a few hundreds here and there. Just
Yeah.
recently, he scored 100 in a target trying to chase down 260 or something, and they lost. But
Yes.
yeah,
True. All right. So let's get into the comments over here. Sujay has asked Steve Smith masterclass to happen in the match. Let's go to Tanish. Do you expect a Steve Smith masterclass 100 coming for
yes,
Steve Smith in this
yes, I'm expecting. I'm
qualifier?
expecting that to happen. I think he's gonna roll up his sleeves and hit a few brilliant shots. Get himself 100, runs in this. Well, actually, let's be honest. Looking at the pitch, um, he's gonna score, but he's gonna have to work really hard to score a century in this. Looking at this pitch, as a fan, I'm hoping he'd score like 150 runs. But yeah, looking at this pitch, I think it's gonna be tough for the batsman to have a crack, and he's gonna work. He's gonna work really hard to score a century if he wants to make that, if that's what he wants. Yeah.
Yeah, agree. Neil, coming back to you, who do you think will be the highest run scorer and the highest wickets taker for Australia in this WTC? Like prediction wise, who do you think will be that highest run scorer and highest wicket taker for Australia?
In the final, I'd say wicket take. I'd probably say Pat Cummins. Don't see anyone else making that much of an impact as Pat Cummins. Runs. Nathan Lyon, nah, jokes. Wouldn't mind seeing Nathan Lyon get 100. Maybe Manus or Steve Smith, I'd say. Steve Smith also, just elaborate on what you and Sujay, the gentleman in the chat, in the message, has said, and Tanish said, Steve Smith seems to click in the big matches. He just loves the big matches. So I wouldn't be surprised if he scores some runs in this game. It's a big match at the World Test Championship final.
Couple of wickets here and there, Neil.
Yeah, no way. Good old days when he bowled leg spin, the blonde hair.
Agree. Yes. All right, we'll just take an Indian question over here. Sujay asked Shardul Thakur or Ravichandran Ashwin, your thoughts. Let's come to Tanish since you're Indian as well. Who do you think should be favored? Should they go for a second spinner like Ashwin or should they go like for
No.
four fast bowlers?
Look, knowing these England conditions, there's a very good chance, a very, very good chance India will actually pick Shardul Thakur over Ravichandran Ashwin. And as much as Ravichandran Ashwin's a match winner and has a really good cricketing brain, loves his Test cricket, is a perfect Test cricketer, and the only format he's good at these days.
Yeah.
We're going with Shardul Thakur because not only can he bowl, but also like he's a very handy batsman. Not that I'm saying Ravi Ashwin's not a handy batsman. He is a handy batsman, but Shardul Thakur can give that extra bowling option as well, alongside Siraj and Shami, and
Yes.
Umesh Yadav, who might play, or it could be Jadav Udnakar, I don't know. But
Yeah.
there's a very good chance that the Indian selectors will pick Shardul Thakur for his extra bowling, um, and that he'd also provide a lot with the bat. And but if they pick Ravichandran Ashwin, that's a bit of a. It's not surprising, but it's also that there's no need for two spinners in England. Just stick to one spin, and that's Jadeja, who can also make a big impact with the bat, and
Yeah.
Shardul Thakur, who can provide some experience with the ball as well.
Definitely, yes. Your thoughts also, Neil, about this? Do you think is it going to be Shardul Thakur or Ravichandran Ashwin according to you? Because we know last time a lot of people assumed that India will go with two spinners, but they went only with Jadeja as their lone spinner and went with four seaming options. And this seems to be another green pitch that we've been observing the last few days. So your thoughts, Neil, towards this? Do you agree with Tanish, or do you have another
Yeah,
opinion on this?
yeah, I'd say Thakur. He just yeah, I think it'd be the best thing. Probably to go for Thakur in these conditions. Guy seems to he seems to he just bowls he bowls with a lot of passion and that. seems to rub off on the team, and yeah, in these conditions, he'll be very handy. I mean, Ashwin, like, there's always that thing with Ashwin. Like, he's a class player. He's one of India's best players of all time for sure. But in foreign conditions, there's always that question mark over him. And even with the conditions as well. I mean, yeah, I'll just go with Thakur.
Yes, I agree. Yes, even Kunal has said, I think Shardul is better. Yes, I also agree. I think Thakur should play above Ashwin, in my opinion, as well. So let's come to predictions wise, and let's not be biased, guys. Who do you think is going to win the WTC finals, in your opinion? Starting with Tanish, who do you think are the favorites, and who could actually win this?
Well, if we're looking at a bit of a reality check here, I think Australia has a better chance with the stronger squad. India have lost about four of their key players due to injuries. KL Rahul is one of them, Bumrah, Pant, and Shreyas Iyer. So, although yes, Gill is in form, Rahane is also in form a little bit here and there. Pujara is in form, Siraj is in form, um, and um, you've got Bath, who's a decent keeper, although questionable batsman. I think Australia have got every single player in that team who, apart from David Warner, who's who's gonna probably who's got a good chance to lift that trophy on day 5 or
Hmm.
day 4 or when they win the game.
Definitely, yes. Neil, what are your thoughts as well? Who do you think will be the winners for this WTC cycle? First of all, I want to ask Neil, do you prefer KS Bharat or Ishan Kishan tomorrow? Because a lot of Indian media is saying like Ishan Kishan could make his debut tomorrow, perhaps. I mean, could favor towards Ishan Kishan, but is this like a risk for them taking like Ishan Kishan as a debutant tomorrow? What do you think on that, Neil?
Based on the stats and all that, it could be a risk, and you don't want to debut in such a big game, but it could go well. It'd be a gamble to bring him on, to bring him in the team. It'd be a huge gamble to bring it in such a big game. I think that for KS Bharat, due to experience as well, and he's regarded as a good gloveman in India, so maybe that might come in handy. I think they'll take him over Ishan Kishan, but if they do choose Ishan Kishan, that's a huge gamble, and if it pays off, well done to India. But favourites wise, I'd say favourites are Australia for me, just like what Tanish mentioned. I think they've got all bases covered over India, but I wouldn't rule India out completely. If 2021 series is anything to go by, they seem to do well when their backs are against the wall. So I wouldn't be surprised if India pull it off as well. But I'd say Australia.
I agree. Same. I think I'm also going with Australia as well. I think they are favorites, and especially India after losing Pant and Bumrah, I think that's like sort of a big blow. Especially the middle order seem to be lacking a bit. I mean, KL Rahul also is a big loss for India as well. If KL Rahul was there, I think he would have been above KS Bharat for sure and would have played in the middle order. But unfortunately, he's injured as well. So I just think even though Australia lost Josh Hazlewood, I still think that bowling attack is still strong. I think they're reserving Hazelwood for the Ashes. That's what I believe what's happening right now. So I still think that Boland can make a big impact. So I just think Australia are favorites with the way that most of them are playing county cricket at the moment. Indian players that just straight after the IPL as well. That's shifting from 2020 cricket to Test cricket, which is not easy. And as I mean, Australian players, most of them have been playing county cricket, like Steve Smith, Labuschagne, and the rest as well. So I just think like Australia are the favorites. But one more question before we wrap things up. Sujay has asked, I think looking from a head-to-head perspective, Ashwin is better to tackle the left-handed batters of Australia. Also, according to numbers, Ashwin has an average of 28 in England compared to Shardul's 33. I think he's trying to counter that point. But Tanish, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the stats are accurate, with Ashwin and Shardul, but last England series India went to, we saw more of Jadeja than Ashwin in that series, and a lot more of Shardul than Ashwin. And yeah, Shardul's been expensive here and there, with a pretty big average with the ball, but I still believe he's a much more handy bowling all rounder in England, for this specific matter, that it is in England, than Ashwin. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ashwin does get picked. but knowing the selectors, I think they'll be consistent with their selection and pick Shardul Thakur and rest Ashwin for the next Test series.
Agree. All right, guys. So let's wrap things up. So thank you so much, Neel and Tanish, for joining today. So that is the Australian Test squad that we analyzed today. So tonight we'll be doing the Indian Test squad analysis at around 9:30, 10. So do tune into that. But thanks so much, Neel and Tanish. We were supposed to do this yesterday, but unfortunately, I wasn't. I couldn't join him. But anyways, we did this today. So do check out Destroy the Stumps podcast. I think Neel does it on I think he does it on Google, and I think on other platforms. Podcast platforms, and on YouTube as well. Do check out his YouTube channel and do subscribe to his. And Tanish, where can we also check your podcast, like the name of your podcast, and where viewers can
Yeah,
listen to?
Stump for Answers on Spotify.
All right. Yes. So anyways, guys, do check those out. So thank you so much once again, Neel and Tanish. So it's going to be really exciting tomorrow, and we'll be covering the WTC finals as well. So tonight we'll be coming in for the India test squad analysis at around 10 p.m. IST or 10:30 p.m. IST, and then tomorrow we'll be covering the WTC finals as well. So thanks once again, guys, and goodbye. Have a good day, guys.